Hello, this is Algebra C, page 4, notes, older questions 27 through 31. Question 27 picks back up with factoring the polynomial. So again, remember our goal when we factor polynomials is to have two binomials. This time we notice that there is a number in front of y, so we're going to have to take into consideration what are those factors, and that will go in front of y. Factors of 3, there's only one choice, which is 3 and 1. We don't usually write the 1 in front of y, but for your learning purposes, I'm going to use it today. Then we have to figure out what are the factors of 20. Factors of 20 are 1 and 20. Very rarely do you ever use the 1 and, no. 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. We might have to do some guesses and checks here. We need a middle number of 19, but this time it's not just going to be adding these, because one of those factors is going to end up being multiplied by 3. So we need something that times 3 with one factor can add with the second factor to get 19. And after you do some guesses and checks, you'll find that 4 and 5 are going to be what works. You could try the others, see what works, see what doesn't, but this one you're going to find out does work. I'm not going to write out FOIL to the side because you should get to the point where you don't need it. So first is 3y squared. Outer, 3 times 5 is 15y. Inner, 4 times y is 4y. And last, 4 times 5 is 20. If I combine these together, I have 3y squared plus 19y plus 20. Since I got the same thing as my original, I know that this is my answer. I'm going to rewrite it down here. A bit nicer form, 3y plus 4 times the quantity y plus 5. All right, again, we have a different leading factor here. The factors of 5 are 5 and 1, so we know it's going to be 5 and 1. And we have to use 4. The only factors of 4 are 1 and 4, and 2 and 2. And since it's very rarely 1, I'm going to go ahead and just try 2. So this is a negative, and this is a positive, though these both have to be negative. A negative times a negative will give us this positive. Let's check to see if it's right. 5x times x is 5x squared. Outer, 5x times negative 2 is negative 10x. Inner, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And last, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Combine these together. Negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12x plus 4. Same thing as we started with. So that means my final answer is the 5x minus 2 times the quantity x minus 2. Number 29 asks you to use the quadratic formula. So I've already written it out. It's a very long formula that I would make sure you have down in your notes. So it's x equals negative b plus or minus, because there's going to be two answers, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, with the way we have this written, it is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So a is going to be the number in front of the x squared, b will be your number in front of x, and then c will be the number without any x values. So we're going to plug in this information. So x is going to equal negative b. Well, our b is already negative, so a negative negative would be a positive 3 plus or minus b squared. So that would be negative 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 5, all over 2a. A is 2. simplify this a bit. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times negative 4, times negative 5 is going to be a positive 40. So all this can get replaced with positive 40. So I'm going to have 3 plus or minus the square root of 49 all over 4. Square root of 9 is plus or minus 7. The reason why there's this plus or minus, not 7, it's not the square root of 7, that should just say 7. The reason why we have this plus or minus in this formula is when you take the square root of any number, it could be the positive number or it could be the negative. Because negative 7 times negative 7 is 49, positive 7 times positive 7 is 49. So that's where that plus or minus part comes into play. So now I'm going to break this up and solve for each of the answers. X is going to equal 3 plus 7 over 4, and x will also equal 3 minus 7 over 4. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 over 4 simplifies to 5 over 2. And 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Negative 4 over negative 4 equals negative 1. So my answers are x equals 5 over 2, comma, negative 1. You want to make sure you list out both answers. All right, question 30 asks to graph the parabola. So the standard form of a parabola equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Looks very similar to the setup of the quadratic formula. So I'm going to set this up compared to what we actually have. So we have y equals negative 2x squared. We don't have any of this rest, so technically this is plus 0x plus 0. To find the vertex, we use the formula for finding the x value, and that is x equals negative b over 2a. In this case, our b is 0, and 2 times a is 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. But that doesn't matter because 0 divided by anything is 0, so my x value is 0. To find the y value of the vertex, you're going to plug that 0 back into this equation up here. So y equals negative 2 times 0 squared, which equals 0. So that means my vertex is the point 0, 0. To figure out more of what this looks like, just plug in some more values for x and y. With a parabola, when you plug in a positive value for x and get your y answer, that's going to be the same y answer as that same number with a negative. So if I plug in 1, that would be 1 squared. So down here, 1 squared is 1 times negative 2, which gives you negative 2. You're going to get that same answer when you plug in negative 1 because that square will just turn it to a positive. So we're going to have the points at 1, negative 2, and negative 1, negative 2. Let's figure out what's happening at 2. So 2 squared is 4, times negative 2 is negative 8. So at 2, it's negative 8. At negative 2, it's going to be negative 8. So that would be just off of here, down here. I just want you to get a good idea of what this parabola looks like. So then my parabola is in the shape of a U. It's going to keep going. I ran out of space there, but that's kind of what it looked like. Sorry about my sloppy drawing there. Question 31 asks you to solve the equation by completing the square. We complete this square. In order to do that, the number that does not have x needs to be moved to the other side. So we do the opposite to move it. So instead of adding 8, we're going to subtract 8 to the other side. So we're going to have x squared plus 6x equals negative 8. We want to figure out what is something that we can add to this side in order to complete the square, make a perfect square on the left side. Whatever we add over here, we also have to add over here. In order to find out what we need to add, you take your middle number, so this 6, and you're going to divide it by 2, which would be 3, and then you square that number. 3 squared is 9. That is what you're going to add to both sides to complete the square. The reason why you're doing this is then I can factor this into an x plus 3 squared. I get this 3 from right here when I divided by 2. And will equal negative 8 plus 9 is positive 1. I can show you that if I did x plus 3 times x plus 3, if I FOILed that, I'd get x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9, or x squared plus 6x plus 9. So you see, this is what I wrote up here. That's what we want to happen, because we want to be able to write our perfect square like this. So now that I have this, in order to solve, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. The square root of x plus 3 squared. It's basically just cancels out that square, and you're left with what's in the inside, x plus 3. The square root of 1 is plus and minus 1. So you're going to have two answers. You're going to have what? X plus 3 equals positive 1. You'll have x plus 3 equals negative 1. Solve for x on both sides by subtracting 3. X will equal negative 2 over here, and x will equal negative 4 on this side. So your answer is x equals negative 2 comma negative 4, both of these answers. That's all for this set of notes. Check out the Algebra C page 5 notes for additional help.